The Gospel of the Lord. Dear brothers and sisters, today is April 25th, and we also are celebrating, but obviously the Good Shepherd trumps him, but we're also celebrating Saint Mark. And Saint Mark is one of these four, and we have to look for a lion, which I think it's up there, so that guy over there should be Saint Mark. And it's very beautiful that this church has these four columns, because these are the four columns which is the gospel that holds the church. So just want to bring mindfulness about St. Mark, to give him thanks, to recognize the glory of God, of how wonderful it has been that he has given us such a beautiful gospel and so many other things. So today we have the Good Shepherd. What a great celebration. I really want to encourage you as I start. I hope this is the key, that today you worship God. Recently, there was a Protestant friend, and as you know, I have a Protestant background. My dad was Protestant, and my great-great-grandfather was a Lutheran, and all the family. So I'm kind of like a convert, although I was born Catholic. But I always had that kind of like commingling. And recently a Protestant friend came to Mass, and he was very moved because he's searching, and he said something that really hit home to me. He said, "You know what? Today was amazing. It was amazing because here I found true worship. The priest only says about 10 minutes of a homily, and the other 50 minutes, it is worshiping God." So important, so important. My place here, sometimes people say, congratulations for the homily. And that's fine, I really appreciate, I need it sometimes. But that is fine. But above all, let us say, what a good opportunity this was to worship God. And I hope today is an opportunity, because we have such a good reason to give thanks, to worship God. And that is what we're trying to do here. You see, the Good Shepherd is the gift that the Father gives us in the Son. Jesus is the Good Shepherd, and he has come to save us. He knows us, as we heard in today's gospel, and we, his sheep, know him. There is this relationship of intimacy. I'm going to bring in Fulton Sheen, that a friend of mine just reminded me of him. And he said something that I think is very true. He said, in the biggest city in the world, there are not even 100 persons who hate the Catholic Church. And that's like, whoa. Have you read the news? I think it's a bit more than that. And he continues and very wisely says, what it is that there might be people who hate the idea they have of the Catholic Church. And if there are people who hate God, and there are some that say that they hate him, they only hate the idea they have of God. Because Jesus said today, I know mine, and mine know me. It is two ways. To be his sheep, you have to enter into this knowledge of God. You have to enter into this relationship with God, something that I have insisted so many times. If we do not have an intimacy with God, if we don't know him, if we don't give him space, if we do not get to talk to him, read about him, study, learn, converse, pray, it is very, very difficult. It is very difficult to have a good idea, a knowledge of God. It is so common, when I give spiritual direction, it's so common that people have a wrong idea of God. So many of us carry this idea of God who's kind of upset. A God who's judging, who's all the time, oh, you did this wrong, and you did that wrong, and you did that other thing wrong. And maybe there is a small portion in God who is the judge, but above all, have you experienced his love? Have you experienced how much he loves you? So the first thing about this good shepherd, he knows you, and we little by little want to know him. He cares about you. He listens to you. He's constantly there at the door of your heart looking for you. Now, the second thing that is so interesting about the Good Shepherd is that he sacrifices. He says, I will lay down my life for my sheep. That is the most elevated form of love. He truly loves you. He's willing to sacrifice for you. So important to experience, how is Jesus sacrificing for me? That is a good question to take to prayer. And you can think, well, 2,000 years ago he died on the cross, and that is true. But today he sacrifices for you. And you would think, well, how is he sacrificing? How do I experience Jesus' love? How do I experience the Good Shepherd carrying me? As you can see in this image, and I'm like today the good teacher, bringing my props. This is you probably at the back can't see it, but the people in the front can see it. This is a very, very old traditional image, one of the first ones of the Good Shepherd. And you can see him, he looks kind of Roman because it was from the Roman times. And he's carrying here a sheep. And the one I'm carrying here, he also is carrying him, but in his arms. And I bring this because, do you feel Jesus carrying you? Have you experienced his love? Maybe it is there somewhere, but you didn't have the time to be able to say, oh, this was Jesus loving me. And thirdly, and also very important, as we hear at the end of the gospel, the Good Shepherd, Jesus, is obedient. He says at the end of the gospel, this command I have received from my Father. Everything that Jesus is doing, everything that the Good Shepherd is doing, is following what the Father is telling him. Never does anything by himself. He's never egocentric. He's always anti-egocentric. He's always going out. He's always obeying the Father, who is also caring for him, that he might care for all of us. Now, the first part of my homily, I wanted to center it in this, let's worship God because we have such a good shepherd, and let us ask him that maybe we can become better sheep, that maybe we can get to know and feel and experience the love that the Good Shepherd has for us. The second part, I want to flip it over. You know, a while ago I told you, in your baptism, you became priest, prophet, and king. And I told you, exercise your priesthood. Pray. You are a priest. You're all priests. I'm priest. You're priest. Everybody's priest. I'm a different kind of priest, but we're all priests. We all share in the priesthood of Jesus. And you can worship God using that priesthood, using that gift that you received in baptism. But you were also made, da-da-da-dun, kings and queens. Imagine, there's like a crown on your head. Kings and queens. And that is related to today's gospel, because the Good Shepherd is exercising his kingship. He's teaching us how to be a king and a queen. In modern terms that we like, it's how to be a leader, how to be a Christian leader. How to do this. He is teaching us this is the way you need to care. You need to have an intimate relationship with those you're serving. You need to really sacrifice for those people. And in the exercise of your leadership, obey. Oh my God, is that important? Dads and moms, you're exercising your kingship. Well, first you need to obey. Bosses, you need to first obey. If you do not obey, do not ask other people to obey you. If you do not follow, do not ask other people to follow you. Sometimes we've got this idea of the very egocentric CEO who's like a superstar and whatever. That's not Jesus. He always does whatever he wants. No, that's not Jesus. Jesus is teaching us to obey the Father, to follow. And that will generate what is so beautifully manifested in the second reading, that we will little by little, as we all exercise our kingship and queenship, as we exercise and try to be good shepherds, as the good shepherd has taught us, that there will be, oh my God, that there will be one flock. Isn't it beautiful? That there will be a family. That there will be unity. That there won't be any more divisions. The Good Shepherd comes to tend you, to help you, that you, united with him, might generate this family, that there might be one flock and one shepherd, as we all obey the Father, as we all obey the Father. Do not throw away any of the commandments that Jesus has given you. Do not throw away those commandments that upset you, that you do not agree, that you think shouldn't be there. Obey, follow, be docile, and then you will be great kings and queens. And little by little, we will have this beautiful, beautiful flock, this family of God. So I want to finish with where I started with St. Mark. St. Mark is a great example of someone who was cared for by the Good Shepherd and in turn was a good shepherd himself, who took care of those who are around you. I want to, as I wrote in the bulletin today, I want you to think, who has been a good shepherd for you other than Jesus Christ our Lord? Who's been that good shepherd? Who helped you have the faith you had? Who cared for you? Who loved you? Who listened to you? Who taught you to be obedient? Well, today in this Mass is a good opportunity not only to give thanks to St. Mark, but to give thanks to so many other saints that have been present in your life, that might be alive today still, that have helped you to recognize the voice, the sweet voice of our good